Yeah, okay, ma'am. I will start from my side. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, good afternoon, Dr. Christelle, and good afternoon to the participants who are watching this live session. So, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed guests and dear friends, welcome to this exciting session titled AI in Fashion from Applications to Ethical Concerns. And today, we gather to explore a fascinating intersection where cutting edge artificial intelligence and meets the creativity and vibrancy of the fashion world. And AI is not only transforming industries traditionally associated with science and technology, but it also making significant waves in fashion from revolutioning design processes to enhancing personalized experiences for consumers. So, the session aims to uncover how AI is reshaping the fashion industry, creating new opportunities, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible in fashion design, trend forecasting, and customization. So, our discussion will delve into the practical applications of AI, such as visual fitting rooms, automated design tools, and algorithms that can predict trends with remarkable accuracy. These technologies are enabling designers and brands to be more agile and responsive to the needs of their customers. But with all its promise, AI also brings critical ethical considerations to the forefront, including data privacy, the environmental impact of fast fashion, and the responsibilities of brand in ensuring fair and transparent AI usage. By addressing these issues, we aim to paint a holistic picture of AI's dual role as both a transformative force and a potential challenge in the fashion industry. As we navigate this session, we invite you to engage in a thought provoking journey that bridges technology and creativity, exploring the vast potential AI holds for fashion while also examining the ethical responsibilities it entails. Whether you are a tech enthusiast, fashion professional, or an ethically minded consumer, this session offers insights and inspiration on how AI can be harnessed responsibly to enhance the future of fashion. So, thank you for joining us, and let's dive into this transformative topic today. So, before we start Dr. Christella's session, I would like to give some short introduction about her. So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, and dear friends, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce today's distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Christelle Scharff. So, Dr. Christelle is a highly respected professor of computer science, associate dean, and co-director of the AI lab at the Seidenberg School of Computer Science and Information Systems at Pass University. She earned her PhD in symbolic artificial intelligence and specializing in theorem proving and automated deduction from the prestigious INRIA, so the French National Institute for Research in Digital Science and Technology. With an impressive portfolio of research in global software engineering and mobile technology for social impact and machine learning, Dr. Christella has published over 30 papers and received notable grants from NSF, IBM, Microsoft, and VentureWell and Google. And beyond her research, Dr. Christella is an inspirational educator with extensive experience teaching a diverse array of courses, including software engineering, quality assurance, artificial intelligence, and mobile app development. Her teaching journey has spanned globally, taking her not only to her home institution at Pass University, but also to France, Senegal, Benin, Cambodia, and Vietnam. So, the Christela's commitment to expanding educational access and knowledge sharing has been further demonstrated through her two tenures as a US Fulbright Scholar in Senegal in 2012 to 2013 and 2019 to 2020, where she deepened her work in social impact technology. In her role As Associate Dean, Dr. Christelle oversees initiatives in interdisciplinarity, internationalism, and innovation and entrepreneurship, driving forward-thinking programs that connect computer science with broader global challenges. Her dedication to pioneering impactful projects and cultivating future leaders in technology makes her insights invaluable for today's session. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Christelle Scharff. So before we begin today's session, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to our company, Thames Tech Solutions, a pioneering Swedish venture. We are deeply committed to developing innovative engineering, management, and scientific tech solutions that are tailored to support your ecosystem with a forward-thinking approach. What sets us apart is our dedication to affordability without compromising on quality. Our skilled and professional team is always ready to deliver exceptional business plans that cater to your unique needs. And at Temstic Solutions, we offer a wide range of services from digital marketing, web designing, and server management to on-field marketing, Android and app, iOS app development, telecommunications, AI tools, and SEO and web analytics. We also specialize in business operations and process automations across the multiple sectors, including industrial research, aerospace and defense, mechanical and automobile, electronics and energy, architecture and civil engineering, medical applications, and many more. And no matter the industry, our solutions are designed to enhance efficiency, innovation, and growth. In addition to our tech driven services, we are incredibly passionate about the education through our initiative, Mastering Up. So, this free platform is dedicated to unlocking the potential of young learners and providing them with the skills they need for a brighter future. And we warmly invite you to join us in this mission, whether through guest lectures or sharing your expertise, and you can help inspire and educate the next generation. It's a platform where knowledge sharing leads to personal growth and fostering a community of enthusiastic learners ready to take on tomorrow's challenges. Okay, so at the end, I would like to introduce to the motto of Dr. Christella, empowering innovation through global collaboration, education, and ethical technology. So finally, I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Christella, and also thanks a lot for joining us today, and over to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. And so thank you to Thames Tech Solutions to have me to do this session today. So I will begin. So yes, I chose to talk about AI in fashion today, and I will talk about applications and ethical concern. In fact, in that context, so I was already introduced. I'm a professor of computer science at Pace University. Pace University is in New York. And we are really in downtown New York, near Wall Street, near the stock exchange, for example. So at Pace, I have different roles. I've been at Pace for a long time, and I'm a professor of computer science. I'm also an associate dean, co-director of the AI lab. Just also wanted to mention that I'm a Google Woman Techmaker ambassador. So that means that I'm part of this community, and you can check it out also. And I began my journey, in fact, in AI by working on, in fact, symbolic AI, which is not the AI that is popular these days. It's more of the AI that is popular these days is more on the machine learning side. But what I did 20 years ago, I did my PhD in symbolic AI. It means I wanted to have computers prove theorems. Right now, I'm much more work on machine learning and deep learning. So I love technology. I think it's really an exciting time for everybody to be in tech. around the world. And I love New York City, of course. I love traveling and I love fashion. So I'm very thankful, grateful that I'm here to talk with you about a project that I really loved. So to introduce what I'm doing, it's first why I decided to focus on fashion and why, in fact, African fashion. So first, fashion is a topic that is really focused on by a lot of companies, researchers in research and in you have e-commerce website and so on, and they all need some application linked with fashion. So there are numerous fashion AI application also available. So if you just scroll down on AI, for example, if you have an e-commerce website, we may want to tag the images and say what garment it corresponds to. So have garment recognition. In AI, we may also want to assist designers in the creative process. So help them with the drawing, help them with choices of colors, etc. Like this is more of a creative process. Everybody using e-commerce website, there's always like some recommendation algorithm, so customer recommendation to see if you order something, maybe you want to order something else going with it. You're ordering a dress, and maybe in fact they will also tell you, oh, maybe this jacket goes well with that dress, because other people in fact also bought them together. Another aspect of fashion AI application is virtual try-ons. When you have yourself with a picture and you're trying out different apparels, and you want to see how it looks on you. So we have to have we can have like different types of also AI application to do that. So numerous fashion AI application available out there. There are also a lot of focus on fashion data sets. In machine learning, one of the very famous data set is called MNIST, M-N-I-S-T. It's a data set to recognize, in fact, numbers 0 to 9 digits. But then another data set that was introduced in machine learning for benchmarking is called fashion list. And it's so we'll look at it a little later. So a focus on data sets to recognize different apparels, in fact. So why African fashion? So I've been doing a lot of research in the context of Africa and technology. I had different projects. So I looked a lot at also the impact of mobile technology in Africa, in Senegal in particular. I also lived in Senegal 2 years at least in my life, and I was a Fulbright scholar in Senegal. And African fashion is a business. It is a $31 billion industry. It's a second economic sector after agriculture, and it has an international impact, of course. So that's a context, and there are like lots of things happening. Also, other things like the French fashion house is called Chanel, for example. They're also very much involved in Africa. For example, they had their first fashion show in Africa in 2023, and that happened also in Dakar. Some of the very famous American singers like Alicia Keys, Beyonce, and so on, they also wear a lot of the clothing of African designers. So a little more about my motivations. I was talking about fashion data sets. So this is on the left, the fashion data set, Fashionist. So Fashionist was designed by Zalando, a company from Germany. And so it's to recognize 10 different things of fashion, like t-shirt, trouser, pullover, dress, coat, sandal, shirt, sneaker, bag, and ankle boots. So it recognizes these 10 different apparels, shoes, types, and so on. And it's based on 70,000 images, and you see that the images are black and white here, in fact, and these images, in fact, they are based on Western fashion. So this data set is very well known, and it's used to benchmark machine learning algorithms based on computer vision. A second data set that is very well known is called Deep Fashion, and Deep Fashion has 800,000 images, and it contains 50 categories this time. And in Deep Fashion, as you can see also, you have colors. And the other one is black and white, but this one has also colors. And there are more categories, as you can see also. But this data set, now, if we focus on some different, more international fashion, what happens? So if I give a picture like this, one of these three, to Fashionist or Deep Fashion to recognize, what will it tell me? It will probably tell me it's a dress. So it will not recognize the sari from India, the sampot from Cambodia, or the boubou from Senegal as with this name. You will say it's a dress, but it will not give us the real name of the apparel, because it's the data set is not recognizing this. So we know the names are important. So if you do not call things by their name, it's like you're discarding, in fact, what it means, the meaning of it, the culture, etc. So I started this work also based on this observation of it. And at the end of the day, in any case, all data sets are biased. So the data sets of Fashionist, the data set of Deep Fashion, they are not, in fact, representing international fashion. They are not representing Indian fashion, African fashion, and so on. This is not only true for fashion, it's true for any type of data set. They lack representation of the different region of the world, the different people, the different culture, etc. So it's a very big task to create, in fact, data sets. But when we create data sets, in fact, we should be very careful about what we are proposing, and we need to be conscious about what are the shortcomings of these data sets. So the World Economic Forum, for example, recommends all entities to document the provenance, creation process, and possible uses of the data set. So here you're saying where do you got the data from, how did you, in fact, create this data set? And also you're saying also how it could be used and not used also. So to really give an idea of what are the shortcomings. Another work that is very well known in terms of creating data set is the paper that I recommend to everybody to read is a paper called Data Sheets for Data Sets. It's a paper by Gebru and al. From 2021. And the authors of this paper, they emphasize the importance of providing information about the motivation, composition, collection process, so pre-processing, cleaning, labeling, recommended use, distribution, and maintenance of the data. So it's important to have all this information to understand the opportunities of the data set, but also its limitation. And especially its limitation are that every data set should be considered biased. So always be very aware of the shortcoming of the data sets. So as we can see, the data set we looked at, they were very Western centric. So how do we address non-Western centric problems? And here we will be discussing this question in fact, based on fashion, but we could have discussed this into another context. So here we will be addressing non-Western centric problems and discussing AI ethics debates. So what is the ethical debate, in fact, based on what I just presented? So we will use African fashion and present two use cases to elaborate on AI ethics. This work, in fact, intersects with two rigorous theoretical debates in contemporary AI ethics. So ethics is very important, and it's talked a lot these days. You hear the term ethical AI, responsible AI, trustworthy AI, because AI, like any other technology, has really generated debates on we need to really understand the technology limitation and the impact it will have on people. So that's why we're looking here at AI ethics. So here I will elaborate on the two debates. The first one is the ethic of inclusion. And the second debate will be the debate on accelerated or precautionary AI. So why are we talking about the ethic of inclusion? Because we see that the problem we're focusing on is not inclusive, because we are not looking at fashion from a global perspective. Also, we're looking at precaution versus acceleration in AI, because that's also a very big question happening these days. Is either we need AI innovation to slow down, to prevent ethical imbalance. So should we go into innovation while we are, in fact, having some ethical concern? Or should we do an AI that is stronger and solve its ethical problem itself? That's acceleration in AI ethics. So these works that I'm presenting also based on the ethical aspect are done with Dr. Brusseau, who is a professor of philosophy at Pace University. And he's also a professor in the Department of Computer Science at the University of Trento, Italy. So it's with him that we are looking at the ethical aspect. So the first, just some definition also about fairness and inclusion. So there is a tension between the ethical principle of fairness and inclusion. So what is it? So fairness, it's more about the process. We want both sides to be treated equally. So that's described by Aristotle, but it's also in some of the African theories that it appears. So fairness, it's treated everybody equally. So it's a process. While we talk about inclusion, it's about the outcome. The outcome is no one left behind. And that's a theory of justice of roles, 1971. So if you want to take an example, so if I have something to give and I use a coin to determine who is receiving a prize, I take a coin and I flip the coin. So the process is fair because both participants have equal chance of winning. But the process is not inclusive because if the coin is flipped and it's on one side, the prize go to one person and the other person does not get anything. So one side gets the entire reward, the other side does not get anything. And so that's not inclusive. So with this example, you see like what means fairness and what means inclusion. Okay, so that's the context I will discuss these use cases on AI in fashion. And I will talk about also some work that I did with my PhD students, Kalima and Krishna Batula. And I also involve a lot of the time some undergraduate research students. So I was telling you my PhD students, but they in fact already graduated. So it's Dr. Batula and Dr. Kalima. So the first use case is about classification of African fashion. So we saw that the data sets that are used in fashion are not, in fact, including images of international fashion. So one research we did was we focused on one particular classification of Senegalese fashion, but it was like more of a proof of concept that we did. So we created also with a Senegalese student who was involved, Adjakodu Sek, we created a data set composed of African fashion. So we have here two African fashion apparels. The first one is a bubu. As you can see, it's a very large dress, very particular. And then on the right, we have what we call Tai Mam, which is like more of a long dress, but it's narrowed at the waist. So we wanted what we did was created this data set, and our research question was, how can we have diversity in classification of fashion items? And how to classify Senegalese fashion. So what we did was we created a small data set with these two different type of apparels. And from there already, so we're like showing that we need some different data sets. We need more data sets. We need more images from around the world, which is possible now because we have more data that is available, data that for on social media, for example, but also on other types of website. But each time also, it's important to know the provenance of the data set, and we need to understand if this data is available freely or not. So in our case, we got the images from Instagram and from designers in Senegal, and we asked the permission of each designer to be able to use the images. So after creating this data set, we worked on classification. So our classification at these two classes, is it a bubu or is it a taimam? And we use a transfer model methodology. It means we don't have enough data, so we need to we use existing like models that work very well on computer vision to work on our data set. And we experimented with different models, and the mobile net v2 was the best one with the best accuracy. So that's the one we used. After also during the process, I would say it's always very important to use some SMEs, some expert in the field, subject matter expert, that give you like also not only you need the technical validation of your work, but you also need a more qualitative validation of your work. So here also we involve expert. So this was our first work, and it was published, as you can see, we published like Senegalese fashion apparel classification using deep learning. So here it was a classification problem, which is a problem that we see a lot in AI, as also seen with the different data set we saw, like fashionist and deep fashion. So the second use cases that we worked on was, let's now look at generation of using generative AI. So in generative AI, we decided to generate African wax patterns. So first of all, let's talk about the idea of this. So in 2018, I was aware of this project called the Little Black Dress. So in fashions, like Chanel is saying like every woman needs a little black dress. So there's a company, and you can see their website on the slide. They created a data set that was based on patterns, images of patterns that you saw back in the days when people were buying and were doing sewing by themselves. You always buy the patterns, and there's like a picture of the dress and some other artifacts. And so they took these images and they created a little black dress by using this data set. So this dress that you see here on the picture was generated by AI. It was not drawn by a fashion designer. So as you can see, it's like a very particular dress. And then after that, it was sewn by a tailor. So that was in 2018. And there's a website also that is called Generate Everything, where it shows generate like a perfume based on chemist formulas, or generate like even like a recipe of pizza, etc., etc. So that was 2018, and from there I wanted already like to generate like things in for African fashion, but the technology was not accessible as it is these days. Okay, and fast forward in 2022. In fact, was more possible that we have access to more models, we have access to more technology, more images, and we could at last work on the project of the generation of wax fabric patterns. So this is like some fabric, in fact, that you see in the market across West Africa. So different countries have different types of wax, but overall, the wax patterns, as you can see here, they are very colorful. They are geometrical, so they repeat, and also sometimes they have some symbolic graphics on them, like for example, things that can represent fecundity, seasons, also important events like marriages, etc. And in fact, these fabric were not created in Africa. Wax fabric patterns, they were created in the Netherlands. And there are some company called, for example, Vlisco. It's one of the most famous company that is creating this type of patterns. And it's called wax because of the process it was used after washing. So to make it like shining, wax was used. So this is very popular. Men will wear this type of patterns in different like kind of tailored clothing, even on Bubu, on Taimam, etc. So I wanted to generate this type of patterns for a very long time. I even had project where I use some JavaScript like p5.js to generate patterns. And then when it become very much more possible to use generative AI to do this, I use generative AI. And here you see also the Dior Cruise collection in 2020 that was based also on Vax. So even like very famous fashion designers, they're looking at using Vax in their collections. So what we did was, okay, we needed also to start with a data set. So the research question were how to use generative AI outside of the Western context. There are tons of different applications of generative AI, especially here generative images. And then we have it's applied a lot to more of generation of the most of painting, etc. But it's used a lot on the Western context, and here we are using something that is non-Western oriented. So the other question was, how can we differentiate different training approaches and manipulate design aspects like color, pattern, texture to generate African Vax patterns? So we wanted something to look like Vax. Okay, so that was a big question. Because when you use some of the generative AI software, you write a prompt, for example, and it generates something. How do you here? We wanted to train our own model to generate something that looks like exactly, or something that looks like Vax patterns. So we started with the beginning, which is creating a data set. So we asked Vlisco also, can we use some of your images? And they said, yes, if you're using them for non-commercial purpose. But we could only gather like around 1,000 images. And we found that was not enough. So we started with these patterns, and the images were small. And then at some point we decided, okay, we will use in fact a synthetic data set. So sometimes when you do not have data available, you generated image yourself. So here we use DALL-E to generate our images for our data set. So basically we use different prompts. So we use like prompt like, generate African Vax patterns, which are more geometrical, with colors that are orange, then colors that are green, then colors that are... So to have also different types of colors in our data set. Because as we said, like data sets, they need to be diverse. So for us, diversity was color, was different types of geometrical figures, and some other things if you wanted like more to have flowers. So we give different prompts to generate this synthetic data set. So we generated 5,000 images for that data set, and we tried really to use a lot of different prompts. So we have this data set now available, and then we look at what algorithm or what models, in fact, are used to generate images. So two very popular models are called StyleGAN. So a GAN is a generative adversarial network, where it has, in fact, two different models working against each other. One is generating, and the other one is looking if determining what is generated is fake or not fake. So you have these two models working against each other. So StyleGAN permits to generate more photorealistic, high-quality images and to control the style of the generated images by focusing on different types of details. So the details can be the texture here, the details can be the geometrical patterns, etc. So we use StyleGAN. So GAN exists by itself, but then you have StyleGAN, you have StyleGAN 2 ADA, which is when you do not have enough images, you have another like flavor of StyleGAN. In StyleGAN, you do not give any prompts. Okay, you're just using your data set, and it will be generating images that look like the images that you have in input. So how long did it take for us to train the images? So at the end, we had, so we went through lots of different experimentation, because when you do machine learning project in general, what you do is you're having a model, you're evaluating your model, and you are experimenting. You're taking notes of what is happening. We experimented with StyleGAN 2, StyleGAN 2 ADA, StyleGAN 3. At the end of the day, StyleGAN 2 ADA was the best. It's not so surprising, because we did not have a lot of data. At the end of the day, we used 2,000, but 2,000 data is not a lot. 5,000 is not a lot either. But the images were 124 times 124. So the other thing that happened is in StyleGAN is, I wanted to talk about the time. Yes, we in fact, we needed, when I was talking about experimentation, we also fine tuning the model, and we need to say what is the quality of our model. So when you do classification, for example, you have accuracy. My model is accurate with X%, and you have other type of metrics. But in StyleGAN, you don't use accuracy, because you need to know, you need to see, does it look like a VAX? And basically what is used is called the Fréchette inception distance. Basically, it look like, is this image looking like the images that I have had as input? And that's what is used to evaluate. So we have, again, technical evaluation, but then we needed also to have the involvement of subject matter expert again, because so who can tell us this is a VAX? In fact, it needs to be subject matter expert, like you would do it in health, in any other, like in biology, etc. You need to work with people who are in the field. In fashion, it's the same. So here we also ask subject matter expert to tell us, what do you think about what we generated? Is it good? Is it not good? Does it look like a VAX or not? So we did that, and I will explain that a little later. So StyleGAN, we generate, for example, with three patterns, we generated them with StyleGAN. So the first one is very creative, and then you have the second one and the third one. And what we can see here is that it's different colors, because our data set had all these colors, and there are different types of patterns, as you can see, more flowers, more geometrical, and more creative. So to obtain these three, we needed around 30 hours of computation. Okay, I just want to give you that as an idea, because it takes time to train the model. So we took the model StyleGAN to ADA, but then also we had our own data. So we trained the model, and we obtained a new model, and we made it available on Hugging Face, in fact, so that other people can use it. We're still in the process of finalizing, so that it's very, very polished, and that people can use it as they wish. So the other models that we use is Stable Diffusion, and with Stable Diffusion we these are on the right 3 examples of stable diffusion models that are generated. So stable diffusion is very different because in stable diffusion, you need a prompt. So here the prompt was generate some wax pattern, geometrical wax pattern that are with blue, in fact. So we insisted here on the blue. That's why the 3 images are blue. But stable diffusion, it's very popular these days, and you hear the name of the model stable diffusion, and you have some websites that are based on stable diffusion. And here, in fact, it's based on taking images, adding noise, and then denoising the image so that you will get, in fact, something looking like what you want. So that's and sorry, I don't have a slide on this, and I should have. But here, it's examples that we have. So we can already compare what we obtain with StyleGAN and with stable diffusion. But I just want to tell a limitation of what I'm presenting here. Here, I selected these 3 images out of a lot of images that are generated, okay? So we generate lots of images with StyleGAN, and here I chose the ones that look more like wax, but there are some that are less looking like wax. The same for stable diffusion. With the prompt, sometimes we get things that do not look so much as wax. So the images I'm seeing here, do not think that all images are good that are generated. They are not. That's why, in fact, we have this notion of also of metrics. And for StyleGAN, we use this metric FID. For stable diffusion, in fact, the metric does not work well. So we need much more research on evaluation of generated images. So that's a very big area of research. It's like, what is generated? Does it look like what it should? It's just like, even if you generate a picture of a cat, does it look like a cat? Okay, how do you evaluate that? What are the metrics that you are using? So that's why I'm saying, like, you always need a metric that is a numerical metric, let's say, and you need also quantitative and qualitative evaluation. So this work also was published, and this was a work also with some of my graduate students and some colleagues here. So we, as I was telling you, it's important to involve subject matter expert. If you're working, for example, as a computer scientist and you're working on a project linked with health, you need to involve some health professionals. If you work on a project with agriculture, biology, etc., you need a subject matter expert who will let you know what is the quality of what you are doing, who give you feedback, who can to improve your models and so on. So what we did, we asked 4 African designers, and we gave them some pictures, and we asked them, like, what do you think about what is generated? We had different questions. So the next step of this project is, in fact, to do a much more a stronger evaluation with expert, and that will happen, in fact, in January, where we will have, like, much more patterns that are generated to be shown to the expert. So we ask them, what is your first impression as what is generated? What general feedback do you have? Do the pattern look like wax? What anomaly can you identify? What use of this wax pattern do you see? And what is your favorite one? So so we only have 4 African designers involved, so it's a very small number, but it was like a first step. So unanimously, they were satisfied with the pattern. The general feedback was it was missing symmetry and repetition. Sometimes there's a lack of crispness and clarity in the design, and there was also missing arrangement of the shapes. They, however, appreciated as an initiative. They really look like wax pattern with diversity. They really liked wax pattern with diversity in colors, and thought that some patterns could be used by designer on the artistic side. So, for example, this orange one, they really said, oh, that can be for more designers that are more on the creative side, and so on. The biggest anomaly, as you can see, was the symmetry. So that's a big question. Also, how do you teach, in fact, symmetry to these models? They said that it could be used in lots of apparels, accessories, and that green pattern was what was selected that by most expert, it's a small number, as the favorite one. And it's true that it's a pattern that could be used on like everyday fabric wearing by everybody. And on this one, as the green one, as you can see, we see a lot of repetition. Also here, warning is that we only gave them access to the style GAN generating patterns because we did the stable diffusion much after. So here is to show you like what we did afterwards. So these patterns, we printed them on fabric. So on the left, you see this purple looking fabric pattern, and it's the one we generate the first time. So that was the first time we obtained something that was looking like a wax pattern. As you can see, there's repetition, there's somehow some symmetry. So once it's generated by our model, sometimes we need also to have a phase where we do some photoshopping on it, because if there's not enough, for example, symmetry, repetition, and so on. So for us, it was important also in this project to do something that's tangible. So not only to go with something digital, but now we have also something that is tangible. So we printed the fabric, and we created some bags here, as you can see, with that fabric. And the bags were done by some artisans in Senegal. So on the right, as you can see, you see another bag. So that's a pattern that you saw earlier, and it's also the layer of Photoshop that was used, and here with more symmetry and with more geometry here. And also we created this bag that is worn here by a friend in a market in Dakar. So we not only like creating the models, but we also creating this. Our goal is at the end of the day to have a fashion show next year where we can show what we generated. And we are not only focused on African fashion, we will also focus on different other fashions. So now to come back to the ethical debate. So these were like two use cases I presented on fashion in Senegal in particular. So one was a classification problem. So is it a boubou or a taiman? And the other one that focused on generated African fashion. But now, when we talked already about the ethic. So here, let's come back to the ethical aspect. So how did we work now? How this work was a use case for inclusion in African fashion. So the inclusion case from bringing African data sets and tool is clear. So inclusiveness begins by conceiving a desirable outcome which could be equal access to AI dataset and tools in fashion across the world. So here we did not have enough AI datasets in African fashion, so we created our own. So then that's why we contributed to inclusion in African fashion. Because the imperative is to leave no person or region behind, the ethical principle directly justifies the work we did in pioneering this dataset and tool for African fashion, even if the dataset we created is very small. But it's a use case, and we just proved that, okay, we could do it, and we need to do it to have this inclusion aspect. So the fairness, how do we look at fairness here? Remember that the fairness is a process. So the process here is looked at by this lens. There are comparatively few datasets and tuned AI tools for use in African fashion when compared with Western fashion. As we could see, there was fashionistas did fashion as datasets, but there are no like so popular. There are some, in fact, if you look on Kaggle, there are some datasets now. There were not also some datasets were not available even 3 years ago. So is this imbalance fair? From one perspective, it is unfair because African fashion designers interested in AI have fewer opportunities than their Western counterpart to have this innovative process, in fact, to use this innovative AI technology, in fact, for example, to create a collection. But from another perspective, however, the difference can be explained as a natural result of equal opportunity. AI works anywhere in the world, and the fact that it is working better in one region than another does not mean that it is unfair, only that some regions exploit equal opportunity better than others. So in conclusion, we made the case of inclusion, but the fairness case for bringing African dataset to AI is blurry because of the focus on equality of outcomes, and because these outcomes are currently unbalanced. The ethic of inclusion forms an ethical imperative to channel AI resources toward Africa in a way consonant with the research presented. So here also, we made a case for fairness, but the case is more blurry. So in terms of precaution and acceleration in AI, so precaution is you wait until you think that things will be better, or you accelerate AI and you try to solve the AI ethic at the same time you are having new solutions. So if you see that, it's, for example, the letters several months ago, for example, some leaders were saying, okay, we need to pause AI. So that was precaution. And then some others said, no, we should not pause AI. So even Elon Musk was saying we need to pause AI, but he completely changed his view on this back with the days. And then you have Jan LeCun, Jan LeCun, for example, with Meta chief AI scientist. He was more, let's not pause AI, but accelerate it, because to have a better AI, we need to go on and solve the problem along the way. So all innovation, in fact, creates some issues, but AI innovation, we have much more, we talk about it also, and we try to mitigate it at the same time. So AI innovation, like all technical innovation historically, has yielded benefit and harm. This is a debate about how to manage harm. So on the precautionary side, there is the argument that AI innovation should be slowed in order to fully identify and resolve oncoming harms. So don't do anything before you can know the impact of the harm, basically. And on the acceleration side, there is the argument that AI innovation should be accelerated to directly resolve the problems that innovation has caused. So this is the philosopher I work with, Professor Brusseau, Dr. Brusseau, works a lot on this aspect of precaution and acceleration in AI-ASIC, inclusion AI-ASIC, and so on. So in the case of fashion now, one social harm is a global imbalance in the application of AI tools and availability of data in African fashion. So the questions are, should the use of AI in fashion be slowed to let application and data sets spread globally, or should the same tool be refined and advanced to apply to the African cases? And so should we wait? We have like data sets that address African fashion. Wait until when? Or should we use tools used for example, the tool for European fashion, should we use them for African fashion? Another question we may wonder is, should innovation be slowed so that problem can be solved, or should innovation be accelerated so that innovation solve innovation owns problem? In our case, we took the acceleration side. Our research shows that there is no need to slow AI to manage social harms that the technology causes. Instead, speeding the advances best serve broad social welfare and the ideal of inclusion. So we decided, okay, let's do it. There's an imbalance in the data sets. We're not waiting that the data sets are more balanced, but we are, however, proposing some data sets. They're smaller, they're not as good as, they're not as big as a fashion list, for example, but we said, okay, let's do it and use that as use cases to advance already AI for the context that is less Western-centric. So in conclusion, and for future work, so this research contributes to the inclusion, to inclusive AI, both technologically and ethically. So technologically, we created data set, we created models, and they were produced, they were tested technically, and they were also, there are some small examples of testing them with matter expert. And ethically, we showed that inclusion is defined in our case and elaborated as humanistic support for the technical research. We took the case of acceleration, such that acceleration ethic is also elaborated and deployed to support the strategy for inclusion implemented in this research. So what are the future work? So we have different things that we are doing right now. So we are deploying the models on Hugging Face, for example. We are looking at other data sets and other types of fashion, so more international fashion. We are also creating like an instrument to be able to evaluate what is generated with subject matter expert, so designer from Senegal. And technically also, we are looking at how can we refine styles on what is generated, how to generate more things that are more symmetrical, geometrical, and also how to add, like, for example, flowers and other symbols in VAX. So this work, as I was saying, is done in collaboration with many researchers and many students that I wanted to acknowledge on this slide. So I thank you for your attention in this talk. Thank you very much. And so this is the end of my presentation, and I am open to questions.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I have some questions here. So, shall I ask the questions?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure. So, in my first question, how will advancements in AI personalization impact the consumer experience in fashion, and what potential challenges could arise in maintaining customer privacy?
So the personalization with AI for fashion. Can you just tell me a little bit about personalization of what?
So,
Can you just rephrase a little bit the question? Sorry.
yeah, sure, sure. So how will advancements in AI personalization impact the consumer experience in fashion, and what potential challenges would arise in maintaining customer privacy?
Oh, yeah. So I'll take an example of customer experience. So what I'm doing is a little different, but let's say in recommendation systems, you're on a website and you're looking at particular dresses, and in the dresses, you so when you search for a dress, in fact, it will already look at maybe what you already ordered. So it will look at the color you already ordered. So more personalization in that recommendation. So it will look at what you order maybe in the past. So here about the personalization, I mean the experience. So we want to get some ideas. We want to get some suggestions, that correspond to what we are looking for. So this is a great customer experience if you get what you want. In general, also recommendation algorithms, however, they're based on historic of what you ordered, of what you looked at, what you clicked on, etc. So it stays in a particular context, a bubble. And sometimes you want to have something surprising recommended to you. So while the experience of, for example, recommendation will be great, it has some drawback also, because it will not surprise you. And sometimes you want to have this surprising effect. So recommendation algorithm, for example, for fashion, have this drawback, and for anything, in fact, in general. So it's based on historical data. It's data that it collected about you all the time. So privacy, yes. On what data are these algorithms also trained on? That's a good question. So is it data that are publicly accessible, or is it data that you don't know you're releasing and are able to be used by these big companies these days and to build their model? The consumers lots of the time are not aware, and we are not reading the things that are written so small when we say, are you letting this data be used, and so on. We are not reading this. So there are some issues, but we need to be aware of what data we are giving. Sometimes we are giving too much data to any platform. So we need to be much more aware, much more concerned, and much more precaution if we do not want our personal data to be used. So at this time, the user is the platform are we don't know what they're using, and I assume they're using private data also to train their algorithm, and that's why there are lots of trials going on these days. But as a consumer also, we need to be much more aware, and that's why also AI literacy is very important. AI literacy is about using technology, using the new tools that are powered by AI, but also understanding the concerns that are ethical, including privacy, because privacy is one of the big pillar of ethical AI.
Yeah,
So that's
thank
my answer.
yeah, thank you, ma'am. In what ways could AI-driven predictive analytics transform trend forecasting in fashion, and how might this influence the cycle of fast fashion versus sustainable fashion?
Um, AI trends. So the what technology can do for fashion, it's huge. I just focused on here classification, because classification is very important because everything is labeled. We need labeling of pictures, so that we can know what it is. We can create new data set, new algorithms, generation of designs. We can have virtual try-ons. That's also a very big area where a lot of companies are focusing on, but also research is focusing on. The trends are, I think also, in fact, it's not it's really that AI tools can support the fashion designers, can support the generation of new apparels. And that's where, in fact, I see AI could right now. Yes, fast fashion is a big thing. It has a lot of impact on the earth. And the fast fashion companies, they have tons of new design generated every day, and they're generated by human and probably also by AI. So the types of things generated can go very fast because of generated AI. But I mean, AI on sustainability, I on sustainable fashion, I'm not sure, but for every aspect of something, we need to counter it. And yes, sustainable fashion is also a very big aspect. I don't have really a clear answer to this question. I'm sorry, but I think AI will speed even more fast fashion that is so less expensive and more affordable to lots of people, and that's why it's so popular also. And I'm not sure of the impact of AI on sustainable fashion, however, at this time.
Oh, sure. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, how can AI tools be designed to assist designers in creative processes without diminishing human creativity? And what ethical safeguards should be in place to protect intellectual property?
Oh yes, intellectual property is a big thing. Yes, because if you train your model on proprietary data, you are generating something that normally should not exist. It's also a big open question. I think we need to be very ethical in the data we use. That's why we need to say where they come from, so that we do not have these IP issues that are so flagrant. I don't see also AI are replacing anybody. I don't think AI will replace the designer, because even if you look right now, there are some papers showing that everything that is generated, there's no creativity in it. Because when you generate all these algorithms, they generate from existing things. So they are not generated in general something completely new. So the creativity is really the human. AI tools at this time and I don't think even in the future will be able to mimic the human creativity. So here the idea is that AI in fashion and others, even in programming, in assisting the medical doctors, it's not to replace the human, but it's to augment the human. You probably heard about this, about augmented human AI. So that we augment the human with some AI tools to be able to support the work of the human, but it's not to replace it. So the AI can give you some ideas. So and then as a human, you are like using the AI with prompt. Oh, can you give me like some suggestions? And then you are in fact producing the final product. But as you said, there's some issues about intellectual property. That's why we need the safeguard will be to say where are the data coming from. And we need to always also have a watermark saying this is generated by AI. It's not a real picture. It's generated by AI and the provenance of the data, which at this time is blurry. Things you generate with the very popular generative AI software, it's blurry where the data is coming from. And that's where you have IP issues.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. The questions are over from my side. So thanks for the useful answers. The answers are very useful. I hope the access and the participants can understand about that. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of this enlightening session, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Christella. So, Dr. Christella, your insights into the transformative power of artificial intelligence, along with your dedication to ethical technology and global collaboration, have inspired us all. So, your passion for bridging the gap between technology and social impact, and drawn from your extensive research and international experience, has brought new dimensions to our understanding of AI's potential and responsibilities in our world. So, your contributions today have given us invaluable perspectives on the future of AI and its applications, and reminding us all of the vital role ethical considerations play in technological advancements. And your journey as a scholar, educator, and global leader is truly inspiring, and we are grateful for your willingness to share your expertise with us. And special thanks to Ajinkya D.Y. Patel University and the coordinator, Dr. Vijay Kumar, Dean International from Ajinkya University, for giving this support and wonderful collaboration for making this impactful event. So, thank you, sir. And behalf of everyone present, so thank you for your time and knowledge and inspiration. We look forward to continuing the conversation and working towards a future where technology enhances our life and responsibly inclusively. So thank you once again, Dr. Christella. So thank you so much, ma'am.
Thanks to you. It was really a pleasure to give this presentation, and thanks for the invitation. And yes, I thank all the participants who were present, student, professional, enthusiast in AI. And you have my email if you want to reach out. So thanks so much for your attention and everything. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. And just one minute, ma'am. Ma'am, just wait. Ma'am, can you able to see the virtual memento?
Give me 1 second because I'm using different screens. Yeah. Oh,
Okay, great.
thank you so much.
So, ma'am, on behalf of Mass Media, we present this virtual memento as a tribute to our guest speaker, Dr. Christella. So, your insightful contributions have enriched our knowledge and inspired us profoundly. So, this token of appreciation symbolizes our gratitude for your expertise and dedication. So thank you for sharing your wisdom with us and shaping our understanding in profound ways. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. It's wonderful.
Oh,
It's a
thank you. Thank you.
wonderful one. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am. So shall we leave the session now?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Thank you,
So
ma'am. So
long.
definitely we will meet in future collaborations and sessions. Definitely.
Yes. I'm
Yeah,
looking
sure.
forward.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.